Blackbeard is someone who firmly believes in the power of devil fruits. He himself has 2 devil fruit powers, and his entire crew is also made up of ability users. But it could be that this is just the start, and Blackbeard may have gotten his hands on something that will allow him to essentially use any devil fruit he wants. The first thing Blackbeard did in the final saga was invade the island of Amazon Lily, where he had to fight Boa Hancock over her devil fruit. But what Blackbeard did not expect to find on the island were the Seraphim. This encounter very likely piqued Blackbeard's curiosity, as he saw the Seraphim using devil fruits that Blackbeard knew were currently being used by other people who were still alive. This would mean that the world government had found a way to reproduce devil fruit powers, which would be an absolute bombshell for someone like Blackbeard to discover. Blackbeard has spent years scouring the world for the most powerful devil fruits, but has still always had to deal with the limitation of only ever having one of each fruit. Being able to manufacture devil fruit powers would be an absolute game changer, and something Blackbeard himself would clearly want to get his hands on. And I think this is exactly what went through Blackbeard's head when he saw the Seraphim. I think there's a lot of evidence that Blackbeard immediately got to work on getting the Seraphim's power for himself after his first encounter with them, and I think this is a job he gave to one particular member of his crew. Blackbeard went to Amazon Lily with Vasco Shot and Katarina Devon, and the crew seemingly split up after this mission. Vasco Shot returned to Pirate Island, where we later saw him fighting Garp, while Blackbeard himself went to Winner Island, where he ended up fighting Law. Yet, what happened to Devon? We later see her on Egghead Island itself, where Van Augur comes to pick her up. Yet unlike Augur, Devon wasn't among the Blackbeard pirates who fought Law with Teach. The fact that Augur also had to come pick her up also heavily indicates that Devon had already been on Egghead before this moment, and had possibly been on the island for a while. Devon on Egghead ends up stealing Saint J. Garcia Saturn's appearance with her devil fruit power, but it is actually very doubtful that she had originally come to the island for Saturn. The Blackbeard pirates had no way of knowing that one of the 5 elders would come to Egghead, and Devon herself says that she is very surprised to find Saturn on the island. This suggests that Devon had come to the island for different reasons, and she only chose to take advantage of Saturn's sudden arrival. I personally believe Devon had already been on the island for literally days before the arc started, and that she had been sent there on a special mission by Blackbeard. The theory here is this: after seeing the Seraphim on Amazon Lily, Blackbeard gave Devon a mission for her to go to Egghead Island, discover what technology Vegapunk had used to give the Seraphim their powers, steal it, and bring it back to him. And here's the thing. It would have been incredibly easy for Devon to do all of this. Blackbeard's raid on Amazon Lily happened weeks before the events of the Egghead arc, which is why we see S-Hawk and S-Snake on both islands, as they were likely sent right back to Egghead from Amazon Lily. On paper, it would have been very simple for Devon to steal the appearance of a random marine, then board the same ship that was transporting S-Hawk and S-Snake to Egghead Island. After reaching Egghead itself, Devon could have begun her mission of learning the truth behind the Seraphim. This is also something her own devil fruit would have been perfectly suited for, where she could have kept on changing her appearance to learn more information, potentially even pretending to be one of the Vegapunks. Eventually, she could have discovered the secret behind the Seraphim: green blood. Green blood is a substance Vegapunk created based on the lineage factor of devil fruit users that copies their powers, explaining how the Seraphim are able to use the powers of characters who are still alive. This also explains why the Seraphim have the abilities that they do, where they're all based on devil fruit users who are either government-sanctioned warlords or government prisoners. Green blood apparently only works on Paramecia-type devil fruits, but this would actually be incredibly convenient for Blackbeard. Paramecia could be argued to be Blackbeard's favorite category of devil fruits, where most of the Blackbeard pirates' fruits, and one of Blackbeard's very own fruits belongs to this devil fruit type. On top of green blood, Devon could have also discovered the authority ranking of the Seraphim, where the ones who can command them over everyone else are the 5 elders. Let's say Blackbeard's orders to Devon had been something as simple as stealing the power of the Seraphim. She could have discovered how green blood itself was produced, and then as a bonus, also stolen Saint Saturn's appearance, which the Blackbeard pirates could hypothetically use to command all of the Seraphim. If this theory is so far correct, after Devon eventually returned to Blackbeard, she could have given him Vegapunk's ultimate secret, a way for Blackbeard to make his own green blood. To put it simply, this could be a game-breaking weapon for Blackbeard. From what we know, to create green blood, you need the lineage factor of a Paramecia class Devil Fruit user. The lineage factor is basically One Piece's version of DNA, which means that it requires only a small sample, where for example, all of the Pacifista were based on just a drop of the original Kuma's blood. Teach would also be no short supply of test subjects for creating his own green blood. As already brought up, the Blackbeard pirates have a number of powerful Paramecia fruit users, where the majority of Blackbeard's Titanic captains possesses a fruit of this type. Furthermore, there is also Blackbeard's own fruit, the Gura Gura no Mi, which is not only a Paramecia, but is in fact called the strongest Paramecia in the world. On paper, green blood could replicate the powers of any and all of these fruits, which is a pretty crazy idea. There being potentially multiple characters in the story with the power to destroy the world, and they all belonging to the same pirate crew is pretty damn nuts. But after green blood was introduced to the story, it is something that could literally happen. However, this theory can get even crazier. It is possible that Blackbeard would have access to lineage factor even outside his own crew. This is because the Blackbeard pirates have recently come into contact with a number of very interesting Paramecia users. Gecko Moria spent weeks being imprisoned on Pirate Island before he was freed by Perona during Garp's attack. I was personally very befuddled by this plot point, as Moria's entire mini-arc of being imprisoned by Blackbeard seemed entirely pointless, where it contributed nothing to the story. Moria confronted Blackbeard, was imprisoned, and then was freed without it altering the story in any way, where this entire subplot could be removed without anything changing in the manga. I think a lot of readers expected that Moria's encounter with Blackbeard would lead to Blackbeard somehow getting his Devil Fruit power, so him escaping without it happening was very surprising. Yet, it's possible that Teach can still get Moria's power through another way. If Moria left behind even a bit of his lineage factor, such as a stain of blood, the Blackbeard pirates could theoretically produce green blood that would perfectly replicate his Kage Kage no Mi's Paramecia powers. This could finally make the fated idea of Blackbeard getting his own zombie army come true. For context, Blackbeard should actually know where a lot of extremely powerful dead fighters, such as Whitebeard and Ace, are buried. If he had Moria's Devil Fruit power, Blackbeard could on paper bring any dead character back to life as his personal zombie, which could be how he will get his army for the final war, where Blackbeard at the moment seemingly has a lot less foot soldiers than Luffy. Another Paramecia fruit user that the Blackbeard pirates have recently made contact with is Trafalgar Law. After their fight with Law on Winter Island, a very interesting detail is that Law actually had to leave his hat behind before escaping, and this could actually prove to be a big mistake. If Blackbeard were to be able to extract Law's lineage factor from the hat, such as for example from a follicle of hair, he could produce green blood based on the Ope Ope no Mi. The Ope Ope no Mi is by many referred to as the ultimate devil fruit, and Blackbeard himself already expressed interest in getting the fruit, and particularly in its eternal youth surgery. Teach also personally witnessed just how powerful the fruit is in combat, with Law being able to put up a fight against him, despite Blackbeard being an emperor. I think the picture of just how huge someone like Blackbeard being able to produce green blood is starting to come together with these examples. With green blood, Teach could theoretically manufacture his personal soldiers with powers as crazy as the Gura Gura no Mi or the Ope Ope no Mi, and this could make the Blackbeard pirates one of the most powerful factions in the final war. There are also other Devil Fruit users' powers Blackbeard could have access to that I haven't even mentioned yet, where characters like Puddin, Kujaku, and Prince Cruz have all had run-ins with the Blackbeard pirates very recently. There would however be one flaw in this plan, which is that all of Blackbeard's captains have already eaten Devil Fruits. According to Lilith, all standard Devil Fruit weaknesses still apply to characters who use green blood, meaning that green blood is likely something that cannot be used by people who have already eaten devil fruits. What this means is that if Blackbeard wanted his personal green blood infused soldiers, he would have to find some fresh candidates outside his core crew. This could however be something easily solved, as the Blackbeard pirates have recently gotten some very interesting fresh recruits. During the Egghead arc, we for the first time in 25 years saw the villains of the Bharati arc, Don, Greek and Gin, and they were actually right in Blackbeard's home base of Pirate Island. What this likely means is that Greek and Gin have in the present story become Blackbeard's underlings. Based on Bharati, neither of these two have eaten devil fruits, which means that they could also be perfect subjects for green blood. And if you think Greek and Gin might be too weak, you might want to reconsider that, since the pre-time skip characters who've now returned to the story in the final saga have very consistently been far stronger than in the past. So yeah, those are your two endgame bosses of One Piece. Don Krieg with the Gura Gura no Mi, and Gin with the Ope Ope no Mi. May God help us all. Krieg getting Whitebeard's devil food would actually be pretty funny, since all the way back in the East Blue, he actually called himself by Whitebeard's title, the strongest man in the world. Oh wait, that's actually a mistranslation. What Krieg actually said in the original Japanese was, "Like this video, or I will bring out the diamond knuckles. You better do as he says." Even if Blackbeard were to decide not to use these East Blue legends, however, he would likely be able to get his hands on other fresh recruits, because this is simply something Blackbeard is naturally gifted at. Teach is in fact a very charismatic figure, who's had a lot of success in recruiting people to his side in the story. For example, none of the Impel Down prisoners he recruited before the time skip were originally loyal to him, yet have now become his devoted followers. If Teach needed people to bolster his army of devil fruit users, he would very likely be able to find them. And there's also the possibility that Devon also brought him another gift from Egghead, where Blackbeard could potentially get his hands on the research to start creating his own clones. If I got my hands on tech like this, I would immediately use it on my members and clone an entire army of them. But alas, I'm not as smart as Vegapunk. You could however do the next best thing for me and actually become a genuine channel member, where I wouldn't even have to resort to clones. All jokes aside, the channel recently got its first members, and you should consider checking the feature out if you want to give me extra support. Thank you to all the current members, and thanks a lot to all of you who watched this video all the way to the end. I'll try to get more videos out for you as soon as possible.